Welcome back to Inside South Florida. Kubo and the Two Strings is the #1 family film in the country. In it, Kubo must locate a suit of armor worn by his late father to defeat a vengeful spirit from the past. Here's my conversation with the star of the film, Art Parkinson, and its director, Travis Knight.
It's time to follow my own path. My name is Kubo. This is my story.
What is it about the project that drew each of you to it, considering it's pretty complex?
For me, it was the relationship Kubo has with his mother, because I work in a business where I spend weeks or even months on end in hotel rooms learning lines and on different film sets in isolated countries, and I work with my mother a lot, otherwise I wouldn't be able to do this, to be honest. But yeah, that was something I could really draw from, and also the fact that Kubo is a storyteller, and he is a very relatable character in general, but the fact that he's a storyteller and he brings characters to life, like I bring characters to life through my tones of voices, facial expressions, different emotions. He does it with his music, with his shamisen, and with his origami, so that's what I could relate to most.
Yeah, I think my answer is fairly similar. You know, I think at the core of this movie, even though it's a big, sweeping, epic fantasy, something we typically don't see in this medium, and that's exciting visually. You know, the battles, the monsters, and everything else. You know, those are things that those are the kinds of stories that I loved growing up. But my introduction to those stories came from my mom. You know, my mom and I were the closest thing in this world when I was a kid. She was my best friend on the planet. And this film is fundamentally a story about family. And so even though there's all these incredible, cool things that are happening on screen, at the core of it, it's a beautiful, intimate story about family.
You guys are making me want to stop for a second and go, Mom, I love you. Like an homage to moms.
Yes.
So, Travis, it's hot in South Florida.
Yeah,
I
it
think
sure is.
I think we could all use some chili tea.
Ah-ha!
So get off mine. So get off mine. So get off mine.
Who couldn't? It's very refreshing. Everyone can agree with that.
I didn't know much about chili tea till I did some background research.
Well, look, we all have skeletons in our closet, you know, and that just happens to be one of mine.
I actually found it to be good. Like, legitimately
course.
good, yeah.
Everything I do is good.
Obviously,
Clearly,
yeah.
many talents I have.
Clearly. Art, are you familiar with the genius behind chili tea? Yeah.
Yes.
I was talking to him about it all day.
Yeah.
He loved the conversation.
Art and I are popping and locking.
But,
Bring everyone out.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, we've been freestyling in between
I was-
interviews all day.
I was gonna ask if you
Yeah.
wanted to bust out some freestyle.
Later,
Ready?
only for a paying audience. Or if
Okay.
you dance.
I think he's ready.
I'll lay down a beat if I have to, but
The obligatory Game of Thrones questions for you. When your character met with his horrible undoing, Savage, I thought what most of America thought, why didn't you zigzag? And I know that you've been asked that question before.
for me, there's like 3 or 4 different excuses I can use.
Okay.
1 being I didn't write the script. 2 being he would have ended up in the same position. So I think that's something.
You don't think he would have been able to?
I think he
like
would
an
have been
alligator,
able to,
you know, when they
but
come
like
after
if
him?
he's trying to get on one side of, you know, Jon Snow, so I think doing that he would always end up in the exact same position. I think Ramsay was playing a game.
Of Thrones.
He was able to hit him all along,
Well done.
and he was just messing around and, you know, making it better.
Yeah.
But I think that's where the game sort of comes into perspective. And then finally, I think if he'd have let him, if he had have gotten on the back of that horse, they would have just rained down with arrows.
There's poetry to it. It's, yes,
Yeah.
maybe he could have zigzagged, but there's no way Rickon was getting out of that situation.
I don't think
alive.
so.
Yeah.
And I think also it was a cinematic experience, because if there wouldn't have been the battle of the. Mom's gonna kill me if I say it.
All right, I
The
know
fatherless
that-
children.
Yeah.
Right. All right, so we love moms. That's what we learned
Yes.
from this.
Yeah.
And moms and their kids and their dads and everyone should see the film.
Absolutely.
definitely.
All right,
Yes.
gentlemen, thank you so much.
Thank you.
From Kubo to cocktails. Here's Layla Torre with Baby Jane with some CW-inspired cocktails you could make at home for a girls' night in. Well, it's almost time for Jane the Virgin and Crazy Ex-Girlfriend to hit the airwaves once again. Jane the Virgin on Mondays, Crazy Ex-Girlfriend on Fridays, and when you watch those shows, you need a cocktail, right, Layla?
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, you do, and she's a bartender, so she knows. So we're gonna make a couple of cocktails for each of those shows for Girls Night In, right?
Sounds good.
And you're gonna show us how, and we're gonna use Cuca Fresca. So what is Cuca Fresca?
So cuca fresca is actually a Brazilian spirit. It's a cachaça, and it's equivalent to like our rum. You know, they make all their caipirinhas, which is like our mojitos.
All right, so the first drink we're gonna make is in honor of Jane the Virgin. It's a classic Jane. Oh, Jane. Oh, that classic Jane.
Oh, that classic Jane. I love Jane.
Tell us how to make it.
So it's basically gonna take some cuca fresca. It's gonna take some limes and some simple syrup, and you just wanna put it all in a glass. You wanna muddle it real good, get all the juices flowing and all the essence of the lime in there, and then you just wanna mix, add ice, and straw.
And just enjoy.
And just enjoy.
Yeah. If you had to describe the flavor of it, the taste of it, what would you say?
I say it's citrusy, refreshing, and of course delicious.
Obviously, of course, delicious. And by the way, don't be freaking out thinking you need to write all this down. We're gonna have the recipe on our website on sflcw.com so you can make this at home. All right, so that's Jane the Virgin. How about we move on to Crazy Ex-Girlfriend? Does that sound good?
Sounds good to me.
All right, so let's make a My Cuca X.
My cuca X is gonna have some basil leaves, some strawberries, and again, some simple syrup, and the cuca fresca. So you basically, it's the same as our other drink. You're gonna wanna muddle everything in one glass, pour some ice, spin it around, shake it up, add a straw, and enjoy.
All right, and again, that recipe is gonna be on our website as well, sflcw.com. Now, you can get these delicious drinks and more delicious drinks at Baby Jane, right?
Yep.
What's Baby Jane all about? Tell us about it.
So Baby Jane is a cocktail and eatery located in the Brickell area of downtown Miami. They have amazing food, they have a great vibe, the music is always good, we're really into vinyls, and the cocktails are the best part.
All right, give us some websites. How can people get more information about Cuca Fresca?
So you can go to cucafrescaspirit.com, or you can also go to babyjanemiami.com.
Well, thank you so much for coming. And it would be rude, I think, disrespectful really to you and your craft if we didn't at least enjoy these.
I agree.
All four of these.
I agree, I
Yeah.
think we should too.
We have a big staff. We're not just going to pound all these ourselves. But listen, thank you so much for coming in, Layla. And
Thank you, Dave.
Come back anytime.
Cheers.
Cheers. Now we'll look back at last week's Fashion Hounds fashion show. Here's your furry fix. Ultra stylish pet owners and their pooches showed up in costume to rock the runway last week at the Fashion Hounds fashion show at Galleria Mall in Fort Lauderdale. Some of the dogs participating were even up for adoption, including this adorable boxer, Abby.
She is very active, as most boxers are. They run, they jump, they wiggle, and she likes to be heard, as you will see today. She will say, "Hi, my name is Abby. Nice to meet you."
If you do want to adopt Abby, invest in running shoes.
The best family for Abby would be a very active family that understands maybe has had a boxer before or other big active dogs.
To adopt Abby, contact Boxer Friends Inc. at 866-715-9743 or email them at info@boxerfriends.org. In case you're curious, prizes were awarded including Best in Show, which went to Jackson and his sailor-themed humanoids, and they did not expect to win.
We were surprised because they were more cuter than dogs, like we've seen, but probably the idea and whole family sailor team surprised.
Like all canine fashion shows, the competition was rough, but in the end, all the animals deserved a huge round of applause. Coming up on Inside South Florida, Latin House tells us why they have arguably the best burger in South Florida and shows us what the secret ingredient is. And we go back to school with the latest gadgets in our tech report. We'll be right back.
Furry Fix is brought to you by the Festival Flea Market Pompano.